Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here and listening to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real. My name's Heather Heynen, the host of this show. And today we're going to dig into a topic that many of us face, especially this time of year. I think this will get published into January, beginning of February. So many of us, the beginning of January, we make all these goals for the year, blah, blah, blah. And by this time, most of us have ditched those or we're having a lot of difficulty following through on what we really want to follow through on. So I wanted to revisit this topic that so many of us go through, particularly at this time in the year. Maybe some of us don't always recognize it in ourselves, but this is self-sabotage. So we all have goals, whether it's a healthier lifestyle, more movement, or achieving a specific health target. We kind of start with the best of intentions, but for many of us, there comes a point where our progress starts to stall and we find ourselves engaging in behaviors that actually keep us very stuck. And the behaviors are not always so obvious. They can be really subtle, sneaky little habits that seem harmless at first, but really end up derailing us. And it's really easy in those moments to blame lack of motivation or lack of willpower. But the truth is, self sabotage is often driven by deeper psychological factors. So, in today's episode, we're going to uncover some of the hidden sabotage patterns that may be holding you back. More importantly, I'm going to share with you some real actionable steps that you can start using right now to break free from these very self defeating behaviors and get back on track. First, we're going to talk about what we mean when we say self sabotage. In simple terms, self sabotage refers to behaviors or thought patterns that prevent you from reaching your goals. And these actions often conflict with your best interests and can cause a lot of frustration, guilt, and confusion when things aren't moving in the right direction, right? Because this is all about, I really want to do the thing. I really, really want to do the thing and I'm not doing the thing. And in fact, I'm doing this other thing that is making the thing I really want to do impossible. It's such a weird thing we as humans do. The tricky part about self-sabotage is that it doesn't always look like the dramatic moments of failure. In fact, it, like I said, it can be so much more subtle and sort of insidious than we realize. And self-sabotage is often rooted in underlying fears, beliefs, or emotions that influence our actions, even though we might not be aware of them. So, for example, you might be working on a health goal, but when it's time to meal prep for the week, you suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to clean the house or binge watch your favorite show. The tasks you've chosen to avoid are linked to your wellness goals, but the actions you're taking instead are preventing you from making progress. So, what's going on there? These behaviors are often attempts to avoid discomfort or fear, like the fear of change or the fear of success. Yes, many people have that fear of success. And the result is that you stop taking the steps you need to achieve your desired outcome. By the way, why would someone ever have the fear of success? Just real quick, I mean, this is a topic that's a whole other many podcast episode needed for, but fear of success for many people is because if you're successful in obtaining your goal, you are now in the unfamiliar. In the brain, the nervous system always wants the familiar, always wants the familiar. When we are in the familiar, there is no extra energy needed by the brain, the body. When we're in the familiar, the brain just can run all those patterns that are easy, they're habitual, they don't take energy. And the brain's job is to conserve energy. So that's one of the reasons many of us actually have the fear of success deep down, even though we think we really want that goal or we want to be successful at that thing. And that's part of this self-sabotaging pattern thing. Okay, so now that you kind of understand what self-sabotage is, let's take a look at some common self-sabotaging patterns that we tend to engage in, often without realizing it. And these are the hidden behaviors that can quietly keep us stuck. So, number one, perfectionism. This is a huge one. This is the mindset that everything needs to be done just right. This is the mindset I was stuck in for so many years, which really perpetuated my binge eating disorder and the restriction mentality, the idea that I had to be exercising, 2 to 3 hours a day for it to even count, all this kind of stuff. It's the mindset that everything has to be done just right or it's not worth doing at all. And this often leads to procrastination because we wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan or the perfect motivation before taking action. But here's the thing, perfection is impossible. And in the quest for it, we end up doing nothing at all. So maybe you're trying to create a meal plan that's perfectly balanced, but you get caught up in researching the best recipes, feeling like you need everything just right. In the end, you never start because you feel like it's too complicated or too overwhelming. Okay, the second one that can get us is people pleasing. People pleasing is another pattern that shows up often, especially for those who are highly empathetic. You might find yourself saying yes to everything others ask, which really puts your own needs last and ends up you don't have energy to really focus on your wellness goals. So, whether it's skipping a workout to help someone else, or eating unhealthy food to fit in at a social event. By the way, that is huge, right? I want to fit in. So I'm going to eat the food. I'm going to drink the alcohol, even though I kind of don't want it, right? You are putting others' needs ahead of your own. So here's an example. You've decided to start eating healthier, but when you're at a family gathering, you don't want to offend anyone by turning down food, even if it doesn't align with your own goals. You end up overeating and feeling guilty afterward. By the way, the people pleasing stuff, that work there is a lot about boundary setting. How do we set healthy boundaries for ourselves? Okay, third one, negative self talk. This is another sabotage pattern that many of us don't realize we're engaging in. It's the inner critic, the voice that constantly tells us you're not good enough or you'll never succeed. This negative chatter really undermines our confidence and can stop us from even trying to make progress, right? So you set a goal to get healthier, but every time you step on the scale or every time you look in the mirror, the voice in your head says, this is never going to work. Why bother trying? And that thought keeps you from sticking to your plan. Another one, avoidance and distraction. Avoidance is another form of sabotage. It's easy to distract ourselves when things feel uncomfortable. We might find ourselves procrastinating or engaging in unhealthy coping mechanisms like watching TV, scrolling through social media, or overworking. And these distractions allow us to avoid the emotions that come up when we face change or challenge. So here's an example. You promise yourself that you'll make time for movement, for exercise, but instead you spend the evening binge watching Netflix or mindlessly scrolling through your phone. The moment of discomfort or effort gets avoided, even though it's what you need for progress. Another one we kind of touched on, but that all or nothing thinking is another common form of self sabotage. If you can't do something perfectly or exactly as planned, you give up entirely. This black and white thinking, this is also called in clinic dichotomous thinking, can make small setbacks feel like complete failures and cause you to throw in the towel prematurely. So here's a common example I'm sure we've all experienced. You kind of have a slip up at a party or eat more than you intended that day. And instead of getting back on track, you think, I've ruined everything. What's the point of trying anymore? And so you give up. All right, so let's talk about how to break free from self sabotage. Hi, everyone. Guess what? I have a lovely discount code just for you, my listeners. The code is 10 off. That's 10OFF, and it will get you 10% off any one of my online courses, which now include Mastering Mindful Eating, Overcome Binge Eating, Overeating, and Emotional Eating for Good. And I also have a course on When You Want to Stop the Weight Loss Medication, a comprehensive guide to weight maintenance and mastery. So if you've maybe lost some weight using a medication and you're now wanting to go off the medication but keep the weight off, this is the course for you. And any course you buy, you keep the course for a minimum of 3 years, maybe longer. It just depends on how many are purchased. All courses are self-paced, and I promise you they are practical, meaning they don't just tell you what you need to do. You actually engage in the skills and strategies needed to make actual lasting behavior change. You learn how to do the what. Okay, all courses have multiple modules with multiple lessons. All include lots of examples, tips, and tricks to make things simple and clear. And you also get lots of downloadable resources, including the daily planning template that I use with my own clients, the exact protocol to use after a binge or an overeat has occurred to minimize its damage on your body and your mind. There are protein cheat sheets, research-based journaling prompts, and the literal how-to checklists on the skill you are learning about. And with the weight maintenance course, you also have a movement module that will help you figure out how to make a movement plan that fits your particular lifestyle and level of fitness. And you also have a natural appetite regulation module. So whether if you have never tried an online course to change behavior, or if you have, I just highly would recommend that you try one of these. I've put my heart and soul into both of them. They are all research-based, and now you can get 10% off. So again, that code is 10OFF. If you're ready to make changes that last, you can go to my website, heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen. And from the main menu, click courses, and it will get you to where you want to go. Or you can click on the links in the episode description below the show. And again, as soon as you're there, when you're ready for checkout, just enter the code 10OFF, 10 off. And just a reminder, I also have an ebook cookbook that is now available. It's called Protein Forward Easy Recipes. It includes all high protein recipes, including breakfast and sweet treats full of protein and lunches and dinner. Okay, so again, head to my website. It's probably the easiest thing to do, heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen. And from there, go to courses or the cookbook. And again, use code 10 off at checkout. We've identified the patterns. Let's talk about how you get out of these and start to make progress again. Awareness is absolutely the first step. You cannot change what you don't notice. So start paying attention to when you're engaging in sabotage behaviors. What are your triggers or your activators? What emotions or thoughts are at play when you decide to veer off course? The more you recognize these patterns, the easier it's going to be to interrupt them. This is the action tip. You really want to keep a journal for a week and write down moments when you notice self-sabotage. Write down your thoughts, write down your feelings. What were you feeling and thinking at the time of this? Number 2, challenge perfectionism. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. So instead of aiming for perfection, focus on progress. You guys, this really is a mindset shift. You have to practice. If you miss a workout or you indulge in an unhealthy food choice, you do not want to give up entirely. See setbacks as learning opportunities, because that's actually what they are. And by the way, you're always going to have setbacks. So learning to reframe them as learning opportunities is going to get you so much farther, so much quicker than getting in this mindset of it has to be perfect. Actionable step you can take when you have a setback, reframe it as a lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this, and how can I use this to do better next time? Number 3, set boundaries and prioritize yourself. Setting boundaries is key when you are trying to break free from sabotage. Learning to say no, and I get it, this is scary for many of us. I was a people pleaser forever, and being able to say no and learning to set boundaries was actually really hard. I had to read a lot of books on it. I had to do a lot of practice. I had to go to therapy for some of it, but learning to say no when it's necessary. So your health and wellness should be a priority, and setting time aside for self-care is not selfish. It's really essential. Your health and wellness as a priority, often I get a lot of kickback from that from people. Like, no, I need to look out for everybody else and take care of everything else and all. And I totally get it. Like I said, I've been there. But your health and wellness is what actually allows you to take care of everyone else. So you really do need to prioritize your own health and wellness to be able to provide for everyone else in your life if that's your value system. So an actionable tip, you can create a non-negotiable self-care ritual. So whether it's a morning workout, a quiet evening, or a healthy meal prep session, you want to work to make it part of your routine, and you want to cognitively shift to think about that as a non-negotiable. It's like those are the things that I put on my calendar, just like I would an appointment with a client or a meeting with a friend or something like that. Those things are on the calendar and they are non-negotiable. All right. Another one you can work on is reframing those negative thoughts. So, negative self talk can really keep you trapped. So, challenging those thoughts when they arise, replace I can't do this with I am capable of learning and growing. It's really about getting more neutral in your self talk. Positive self talk is great too, but sometimes that feels really fake to a lot of us who have a really strong inner critic. So, really moving to that neutral self talk. So, I can't do this. I suck. I'm worthless. Replacing it with more neutral statements like, I am figuring this out. I am capable of learning and growing. I am working on this. Just that slight shift in self talk can really help you stay out of self-sabotaging behaviors. Number 5, you can break goals into small, achievable steps. This is when I'm always talking about make everything doable. It has to be doable. So large goals can be really overwhelming. So breaking them down into small, manageable steps so that your brain and body can handle it. This will not only reduce the pressure, the stress, but also help you see that progress is possible, even in small doses. So take a big goal like losing 30 pounds and break it down into smaller, achievable milestones. Focus on each step one at a time. That might be things like losing, a quarter of a pound to a half a pound a week, or averaging 2 pounds a month, something like that. Okay, so self sabotage is something that can affect all of us, but it's not something you have to live with. So, by identifying the hidden patterns and taking proactive steps to change them, you really can begin to make real lasting progress towards your health and wellness goals. I really challenge you to take one of the strategies we talked about today and put it into practice this week. So, whether it's recognizing your negative self talk and working to replace with more neutral self talk, maybe it's setting better boundaries, maybe it's reading a book on how to set better boundaries, or taking small steps towards your goals, breaking your big goals down into very doable, daily, actionable steps. Every little action here really counts. I hope that you found something in this episode valuable. If you did, share it with someone who could really use these tips. Leave a review if you haven't already. I'd really love to hear about the self-sabotaging patterns you're working to break. You can always comment on my social media stuff on Instagram. I'm at Heynen Counseling and Coaching, all spelled out. Let me know how you're progressing on your journey. Thanks for listening today. And remember, no matter where you are on your journey, you are always just one step away from making a change. So really keep that focus on moving forward and taking care of yourself. We will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer.